Gorgeous Saturday afternoon at Jordan-Hare Stadium on the Plains. It is the A-Day game 2022, bringing to an end spring practice, getting set for the start of the 2022 season, which is just a few months away. New faces, some old faces gone, and plenty of stories to tell on this Saturday on the Plains. And with that, we welcome you to Jordan-Hare Stadium alongside Cole Kubelik. I'm Richard Cross. Tara Talmadge will join us in just a little bit. Kind of a tough finish to 2021 for Auburn and a crazy offseason. Cole, this is a day, though, that maybe marks officially the end, turning the page and looking forward to next season.
I agree, Richard. This is when you really begin to prepare for the next football season. Spring practice, a lot of fundamentals, a lot of individual work, and obviously you want to try to have some position battles, but those can still be short out in the fall. This is when you say, okay, now we begin to prepare for our opener for the next upcoming season.
Plenty of storylines for this Auburn team on this day, the culmination of spring practice. What are you looking for?
Well, there's a couple of positions that I'm interested to see. Tank Bigsby obviously back. I think he has a chance to be a top 3, at least top 5 running back in all of college football. And they're going to design some things around the offense that will be better suited for him to have success. Quarterback battle is very intriguing. We know Zach Calzada can play. We've seen him be successful in the SEC. TJ Finley finished the season as the starter, and he pretty much has it to his own here through spring. And Auburn needs depth up front on defense. Jason Jones, the Oregon transfer from right down the road in Clear, Alabama, looks to provide that for new defensive line coach Jimmy Brumbaugh.
Life in college football these days means guys coming in, guys going out. Here are some of the new faces that you will see for the Auburn Tigers. You mentioned Zach Calzada and Jason Jones. These are guys that may come in and make an impact this year.
Zach Calzada, it's a quarterback that's defeated Alabama and has played at a high level inside the SEC. You will not find many quarterbacks in college football that have more arm talent than Zach Calzada. Are there points in his game that need to be refined? Absolutely, but you talk about pushing the ball down the field. This young man excels at that. A lot of velocity, a lot of RPMs on his football, and showed great touch in that win against Alabama, as you see there. Tough competitors, doesn't have the mobility that some of the other quarterbacks on this roster will have, like a Robbie Ashford that you see at the bottom of the list. Some help on defense as well, where Auburn needs to add to their depth.
And the flip side of that coin, who's out? Well, Bo Nix at the top of the list, no longer on the Plains. He accounted for over 8,000 yards of total offense. There's some names, though, not just related to the transfer portal, but guys that are getting ready for the NFL draft.
Richard, you had a lockdown corner in Roger McCrary. I think the best one-on-one cover corner in college football a season ago. Kobe Hudson was a receiver that had a lot of upside. A lot of people were excited about. And Zacoby McClain was a tackling machine for this Auburn defense the past 2 seasons. Smoke Monday gave you some physicality on the third level of the defense. Have to replace all those. Go back to what we said earlier. Have to find some depth on defense and some bodies that can fill in for those spots. Big departures for the Auburn roster.
So that sets the scene for us on 2022 A-Day on the Plains. Coming up next, Brian Harsin will join Tara Talmadge as we get you set for the start of A-Day. Jordan-Hare Stadium for the 2022 A-Day game, getting set for the Auburn Tigers as they wrap up spring practice. Aubie in the house, team getting ready to make its way on the field coming up in just a moment. Brian Harsin going into his second season as the head coach of the Auburn Tigers. He will join us in just a couple of moments alongside Tara Talmadge. Richard Cross and Cole Kubelik with you on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. And Cole, we talked in the outset a little bit about maybe what you're looking for. What do you think Brian Harsin wants to accomplish today?
I think it's going to be simple. I think fundamentals, the operation of the offense is going to be big for him. They're not going to do much on defense, but he wants to see the offense gets lined up. He wants to see them maybe come out of the huddle, be accurate with where the alignment is, the motions, different things, splits, stance. It sounds simple, it sounds easy, but if you perfect those now, then you can get more complicated through the summer and in the fall.
Different teams approach spring different ways. Go back to your playing days. What does this day mean? Is it something that you look forward to, or is this the day that you're marking off? You got it circled on the calendar and you say, after today, no more, we're going to take a break for a little while?
This day means 2 things. One, we get to play live tackle football without our coaches 5 yards behind us yelling at us the entire time, and 2, spring ball is over. And trust me, that's a big day for a college football player.
And it means different things for different players, right? I mean, because some guys, this is the opportunity that they've got to show the progress that they've made from the previous season to the upcoming year.
There's no doubt. And you know that most of these position battles will continue on into the fall, maybe through the fall. But you have a chance to prove yourself. And with as many guys that are out on the offensive line, at quarterback, and at other positions, there are a lot of players, Richard, that are going to get first and second team reps that normally would not get those. So that's a huge opportunity for those guys to go out and earn some playing time, maybe grab a position.
We're certainly going to get into the quarterback conversation as we go throughout the afternoon, as we wait Auburn coming out onto the field to get A-Day started. But let's talk a little bit about that and the opportunity that has been afforded to TJ Finley because of the injury to Zach Calzada. He's been limited in what he's been able to do so far this spring, and so TJ Finley has gotten the majority of the first team reps.
I think it's absolutely massive for TJ Finley. I think there are a lot of people that have talked about the Auburn spring that maybe undersell that a little bit. Listen, I was a guy that was injured going into my senior year. I missed all spring ball. I lost my position. I had to earn it back later in the year, my senior season. For TJ Finley, he's the veteran in the quarterback room all of a sudden, and he's only been on this campus for a little over a year. So he's been a leader. He's done good positive things, but these reps are so valuable for him because he knows the offense. He has better command of the offense than any other of the quarterbacks in that facility.
So here come the Auburn Tigers onto the field at Jordan-Hare Stadium. It's got a little different feel to it than it does on a Saturday in the fall. Auburn will open with Mercer, then San Jose State, then as big a non-conference game as you've seen on the Plains in a long time when Penn State comes to Auburn in week 3.
It's going to be awesome. I'm so pumped up for that game. I know Auburn fans, the Auburn players are. We saw what that environment looked like in Happy Valley last year. I think Jordan-Hare will match it this upcoming season.
Let's hear from the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Brian Harsin, standing alongside Tara Talmadge.
Well, Coach, earlier this week, you talked to me about the challenges that you have presented to this team this spring. How proud are you of the work that they have put in?
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of challenges, really not just from what we presented, but each and every day, right? That's just part of spring ball. And we just talked about it before we came out here. These guys know there's no shortcuts to get where we want to go. So I'm very proud of the work they put in up to this point. We want to finish out today really strong. And then, you know, we'll go back and reevaluate where we are. But these guys have been going 4 straight weeks. Proud of them. They love being out here. Really like where the team's at from a mentality standpoint. Just want these guys to have fun today.
You talk about finishing strong. We're here at A-Day. What exactly are you looking for from your team today?
Well, I want these guys to enjoy playing the game, and really there's no coaches on the field. Just go out there and just enjoy playing. And then to see all the things that we've been working on show up. Some of the habits these guys have been creating and building, the effort, some of the techniques that we've been working. We want to see that, but ultimately just go out there and play and have fun. Make it a great A-Day. We'll go evaluate all the rest of the stuff. And we come out here with a great memory and a chance to get better. That's what we want.
Well, I know you've got a lot of talent on this team. I'm sure there's some battles going on. Are there any positions that you're looking at today where you're hoping someone separates themselves?
I hope they all do. I really do. I mean, but you know, the thing about it is when you got guys competing and they keep pushing each other, that's a great thing for that position to get better. But I do want to see some guys really step up, play their A game today. We've talked about that. I know guys will. They've been showing it in practice. And if they can do that and do it consistently, that's what we'd like to see today.
One more thing, got to ask you about TJ Finley. How impressed are you with the command that he has of this offense right now?
Yeah, he's done a good job. I really do like where his head's at as far as just knowing what we're doing, helping lead the rest of the offense. His experience shows up, and his maturity going through this offense again and having a chance to really get the details down. It's been good to see, and so, you know, he's worked really, really hard to get where he's at. I want to see him go out there and have a great day today, and the rest of these guys, but really proud of him as well.
All right, Coach, thank you. Enjoy it.
And thank you, Tara. When we come back, that's who we'll see. TJ Finley in the Auburn offense as we get the 2022 A-Day game underway. Back at Jordan-Hare, time to play some football. Here's our format this afternoon. We'll have 4 8-minute quarters. We'll play it real time in the first half, then a running clock in the second half. Auburn with some depth issues, a lot of guys out, and so not splitting it into two teams and playing straight up. Whichever end zone the team scores in, whether it's Auburn or Tigers, that's where the points will be added. Time for us to get underway. Evan McGuire will kick off and get the 2022 A-Day game started here on the Plains. Get the kicker reference in right out of the gate for Cole Kublik. No Anders Carlson. He's been banged up and is out for the spring. Certainly the guy that is expected to handle the majority of the kicking duties for Auburn in the fall. Nice return up the right sideline. Big play for Auburn special teams right out of the gate. Nehemiah Pritchett to the house. And with that said, the offense will start things off as if that was a touchback.
Those ball carriers in the spring, man, they love to give you an explosive play when nobody was really trying to take them to the ground.
So here's the first look at TJ Finley and this Auburn offense.
You're going to see him huddle up more today, Richard.
Right,
yeah, you're going to see him huddle up a little bit. Coach Harsin wants to focus in on the operation of the offense.
Tank Bigsby on the first carry, and I think the expectation, Cole, is we're going to see a lot of that in the fall, not just with Tank Bigsby, but with this running game for Auburn.
There has been an emphasis on the run game through this entire spring practice, and something that this Auburn team wants to be better at, will be better at this fall. An experienced offensive line, great group of tight ends. Tank, one of the best running backs in college football. However, there are some things that needed to be improved upon.
Different look under center here with Bigsby as the eye back. Play action. TJ Finley complete on the far sideline. Malcolm Johnson.
Had Shanker a little bit further down the field, and I like the fact that TJ Finley not necessarily playing high-risk football there. Just take the underneath throw, and that's the bootleg off the stretch play. We will spend a lot of time talking about it today because there's an emphasis on that specific play growing and being a major part of the Auburn offense this fall.
Biggest game for Malcolm Johnson last year came against Alabama State. Had a touchdown catch in that game. Here's Bigsby to the left, and he's dropped down for a short gain. Actually may have lost a yard on that. Zacchaeus Walker in the middle of that defensive line on the tackle.
And once again, that's the stretch play there. And that'll be okay because you don't get your hat across on the backside, but Coach Harsin wants to see Tank not initially just bounce everything out.
Bigsby lined up wide, going the other way. There's a catch for Dawson on the left side, close to a first down.
Those are the kind of throws where I think TJ Finley had to show he can make an improvement. The intermediate throws where you really have to control ball velocity. They don't all have to be 100 miles an hour. The accuracy, ball placement, critical on some of those throws, and a nice job just staying within his fundamentals, driving that football out, getting a good completion.
So first third down of the day for the offense, third and short. Under center, TJ Finley. Hand off to Bigsby. There's a hole, tries to make a cut in the hole to tackle at the line of scrimmage. Caleb Wooden, a guy who's expected to be big for this defense for Auburn.
Well, his brother plays up front on the defensive line, and coming in at safety as a freshman, there was not a high expectation that he would be able to compete for playing time right away. And the younger Wooden has had a really nice spring, and I think somebody's going to contribute to this Auburn defense.
Fourth and short. Auburn going forward on fourth down. We'll see if they hand off to Bigsby. It is a handoff to Tank Bigsby. Right side, a first down, and the offense will stay on the field.
Look, gap scheme run there. Nice job pulling around by Cam Stutz. You watch 62, he'll pull around here, kind of lead the way. You get that big of a body, you don't really have to get on a defender. Just let Tank Bigsby get behind you, get the shoulder pads low, pick up short yard. It's nice execution.
An opportunity in this spring for some offensive linemen to kind of step up and maybe earn some playing time in the fall, because there are 3 or 4 expected starters on the offensive line that have not been able to participate because of injury.
Not going to get Nick Brahms, not going to get Austin Troxel. Keandre Jones going to be out.
Play action. Bigsby out of the backfield, breaks a tackle. Now a chance trying to make a big play.
This offensive line needs to develop. It was a group that had some experience last year, but just did not play at a high level. Brandon Council, the Akron transfer, has been solid the last 2 seasons. He's out in spring as well. But what this does is allow you to develop your depth, even if some of these young men that don't necessarily start next fall, but they've got number 1, number 2 reps to the entire spring, they'll have a much better understanding of what game speed is going to be like.
Tank Bigsby goes to the sideline. Sean Jackson now in the backfield, number 44, placed on scholarship during the spring, but instead of fly sweep, Dawson trying to get it to the outside. Good gain there on 2nd down, and that'll move the chains.
Travaris Dawson, the most improved wide receiver on this Auburn football team. So Derek Esau told us, the offensive coordinator, when we met with him yesterday, and a young man that really just didn't get the concepts of playing that position last year. Has a much better feel for the position now, and a young man that can really help these Auburn Tigers at a position of need. This is my favorite formation in football right here. Single back, 2 tight ends. So many different plays you can run out of this.
Jackson on the carry. He's upended at the line of scrimmage after just a couple of yards by Desmond Tisdall.
Sean Jackson put on scholarship this spring. Really cool video that the Auburn Tigers Twitter feed put out where he's on the phone with his mom and announces that he was put on scholarship. And Coach Harsin will tell you, he's more of an inside zone back. Tank, not as much. He likes to be that downhill and then cut, get north and south, have the options on the perimeter. Sean Jackson, he is a bulldozer, and they will probably end up being more of their short yardage option this fall.
Sustained drive by the offense. They run 5.5, almost 5.5 minutes off the clock. Bigsby back in, play action, Finley. They didn't blow it dead. He might would have gone down in a real game scenario. Instead, a pass completion to the tight end, John Samuel Schenker.
Probably should have been a sack. And, you know, that's a situation there where you get a one-on-one with a tight end. Luke Deal is out on the perimeter there. And there's so many times in college football we see tight ends being put in one-on-one pass rush protection situations, and it's just tough for that position. They're not used to doing it. Great helping out. Don't really want to be in a one-on-one very often.
Ball to 20. Incomplete. Trying to get Bigsby quickly out of the backfield that time. Pressure.
You want to set up the screen. You want to draw the rush to you. And it was a nice job by TJ initially of allowing that rush to get to him. But one thing as an offensive lineman you don't want to do is allow free runners, because that's not going to allow the quarterback to drift a little bit and then get that ball out on the screen. So TJ just rushed a little bit there, had to get rid of it. Really just no play. Go ahead and throw it away, live for another one.
So in this first half, the clock stops with the incompletion. 2:21 left in the opening quarter. Finley and Bigsby in the backfield. Play action to Tank, and too high for Schenker. He was wide open on a short route that time.
That's that ball velocity we talked about. That tempo on the football on some of the intermediate throws where TJ Finley gets a little bit excited, a little bit amped up. Saw a couple of those in the Birmingham Bowl where he had either a crosser or a corner route or a seam route that was open and just doesn't have the full understanding of how to deliver that football yet. That's the part of his game that's still developing, and Brian Harsin told us it can come. It's still there, but that's got to be under control if he's going to be the starter.
And Brian Harsin told us yesterday, a legitimate quarterback battle coming in the fall. Obviously, TJ Finley going to be part of that battle. Zach Calzada transferring in from Texas A&M. That's some big-time experience. This pass complete, front of the end zone. Touchdown catch from Malcolm Johnson. Into the Tigers' end zone, and so that's where the points will go on the board here in the first quarter.
Take a look at just the corner route from Malcolm Johnson, and these are the kind of plays that the Auburn offense is going to have this ball. Receivers that can go up and erase mistakes or just make plays. And it's a nice job of TJ Finley by giving Malcolm Johnson an opportunity. Hey, here's a ball, go up and make a play. In traffic, high points it, reels it into the body. Just an excellent play. Auburn's going to need that from the receiver position this fall.
Ben Patton's extra point good. He was a perfect 6 out of 6 on the year a season ago. 2:11 left in the first quarter. Good opening drive. We'll be right back to Jordan Hare. Back at Jordan-Hare Stadium, good opening offensive drive. Cole Kubelik's got Brian Harsin beside him.
Coach, what did you see from TJ Finley that you liked on that drive?
Well, a 13-play drive we scored. I thought he executed well. Really, there was only two. We had a screen, which we needed to get out a little bit faster, but he was going to the right guy. I think it put it in a good spot. And then that last throw right there, just throwing it in the blind spot of the DB was really, really good. But he had a couple checks during that drive, so just the operation stuff that we had talked about that we really wanted to see from the quarterbacks is just operating out here, and that was good to see today.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you.
All right, so now we'll get our first look at Robbie Ashford at quarterback. TJ Finley directing the first offensive drive. This is mostly twos on this first drive for the white team for Auburn.
Kind of a creamsicle is what we were told yesterday. There's an orange and a white as far as the offense is concerned, and because of the numbers, and there's not really a 1 and 2 group, they've kind of meshed them together. They have a cream unit, so you'll see them mixing and matching with the offensive linemen, some of the other personnel. Quarterback obviously is what you're going to pay attention to as far as 1s, 2s, but here's what you need to pay attention to. Look on the other side of the ball. 29, 55, 99, 50. It's the one defense on the other side which is going to make it more challenging.
29 that you mentioned just a moment ago, Derek Hall, who was a wrecking force on the defensive line a year ago. Straight ahead run for Sean Jackson.
And you see what Sean gives you there. He's got that low center of gravity. He can just put the shoulder pads and the helmet down and grind out a few yards, but he's a young man that's pretty athletic. You know, he caught 73 balls in high school playing at Hewitt-Trussville and played with Ramani Goodwin, who's over at LSU right now, so he was splitting time. But a young man that he kind of looks like that bowling ball 3 yards in a cloud of dust back, but can get out of the backfield and catch it as well.
Robbie Ashford looking to throw, a little behind, but a nice catch made. Z Capers on the catch that time, and a big play for the Auburn second offense.
The nice job by Capers of going back behind his body and reeling this football in. You see the velocity right there that Robbie Ashford can put on the football. And Coach Harsin told us that Robbie Ashford has gotten better every single day of spring ball. They were a little concerned in that first practice, but he has improved as this entire spring practice has gone on. And this is what Coach Harsin was talking about. Wants to see the operation of the offense. How do you handle it?
A little bit of a check at the line, a handoff to Sean Jackson, spins his way across midfield. Nehemiah Pritchett on the tackle. That's a name that you'll watch for this fall for Auburn. Such a big role to fill in the absence of Roger McCrary from a season ago, and Nehemiah Pritchett may be the guy that slides into that kind of #1 cornerback role.
Well, Pritchett, Kaufman, you've got numbers on the back end if you're this Auburn defense. So Jeff Smeding has a little bit of a luxury, especially what's coming in, to be able to move different guys around. You'll cross-train some different players in the spring. You're not going to have another Roger McCrary right now, but you have a couple of different guys with legitimate experience that can play different roles for you.
Ashford quickly, he gets it to Jackson. Block out on the edge. Jackson will carry it across the 45, down close to the 40-yard line.
There it is, underrated part of his game. And somebody who I'm just going to tell you, Jarquez Hunter, we're not going to see him today. It's a guy with a 655-pound squat, by the way. But Sean Jackson's going to help this offense this fall. Coach Harsin told us, too, he'll play special teams, be heavily involved there. But 44 is a guy that I really think can help this Auburn offense later this season.
Third down and short coming up for the Auburn offense. Robbie Ashford, second quarterback we've seen today after TJ Finley took his team down. Drove it down for a touchdown. We have reached the end of the first quarter. 7 points on the boards for the Tigers. Auburn driving in its second possession. We'll take a timeout. Back to Jordan-Hare after this. A bit of a tumultuous offseason for Auburn. Following a 5-game losing streak, 4 games at the end of the regular season, Mike Bobo was released. Austin Davis hired as offensive coordinator. December 28th, right after Christmas, Auburn loses to Houston in the Birmingham Bowl. That was the 5th loss in a row. then on January 22nd, Derek Mason steps down as defensive coordinator. That's when Jeff Schmedding was promoted to the position. At the end of January, Austin Davis decides to step down as offensive coordinator. February 11th, that's when we got the news that the university was going through an inquiry into the football program. Ultimately, Brian Harsin cleared and retained as head football coach, and Eric Kiesau a week later named offensive coordinator. So a lot for the Auburn football program, Cole, during the past offseason. That's kind of what we talked about at the beginning. Everybody ready to move forward.
Well, I think a lot of young men on this Auburn football team. You see Robbie Ashford, a nice keep, nice read on the blitzing safety coming from the front side of that play, and that's the electrification that he gives you. He's got big legs, big wheels, and can scoot, can break a defense down. 17-yard scamper there for Robbie Ashford. But listen, I think this football team, these individual players, obviously Coach Harsin, they're ready to move forward. And they did use what happened a couple of months ago as a bit of a rallying cry. It brought the team a little bit closer together. I think Coach Harsin self-evaluated on a few things and how he was handling the program. A lot of young men that just want to go out and find ways to win games, and you've seen a positive movement in recruiting for the last month. So I do think that a couple of steps have been taken since some of the things that you mentioned took place.
Robbie Ashford dumps it off underneath on the reception that time. Tyler Fromm. That gets us to some of the depth of the tight end position. Before we talk more about that, let's check in with Tara Talmadge.
Yeah, you guys both talked about what happened during the offseason with Coach Harsin. And you know what? This team, when I was talking to some of these players, especially John Samuel Shanker, he just mentioned that this team actually is closer now because of it. He's one of the players that ended up speaking up for Coach Harsin and saying that we believe in him. We have his back just like he has ours, and they think they can win with him, which is one of the main reasons that he decided to actually come back for another year on the Plains.
Sean Jackson spins his way inside the 10-yard line, and Cole, that falls into what we were talking about just a second ago. Leadership. Got guys emerging and saying, you know what, this is going to be our program.
Brian Harsin told us when leadership is required, provide it. That's been the message that he's delivered to his team throughout this spring. Said last year that there were guys that tried to lead, but there were other individuals that did not allow that to take place. Has not been a problem so far through spring practice.
And how about the flip side of what he said? When leadership is required, provide it. But he also said to have leaders, you got to have followers. Here's Robbie Ashford, quarterback keeper, spins away and is touched down, not tackled on the play. Cam Riley, linebacker, with the stop there.
You see 25, Colby Wooden in the backfield. I think he's going to have a monster season. His versatility, you just don't get it across the defensive line very much. A guy that can slide down. We've seen him play some nose guard in his Auburn career, lining up over the center. He can play a 3 technique over the guard. He can line up out wide to play a 5, 6, 7. Rush off the edge if he's needed to be. See 25 right here is lined up outside the tackle, in between the tackle and the tight end on the left side of the offensive line. He just offers a ton of versatility. Now let's slide down to more of a 5-man front. It's a bear look here.
2 tight ends in the game. Hand off to Sean Jackson, running hard down close to the 5-yard line. That's where he'll be dropped. Wesley Steiner. Coach has had really good things to say about Wesley Steiner in the spring that he has had.
Well, you have to be impressed with what you're seeing from technically the 2 offensive line right now, kind of the 2 offense. I mean, you got Iku Leota in there. Derek Hall's in there. Colby Wooden, who we just mentioned, is in the game right now. Marcus Harris, who had a nice season interior for this Auburn defense a year ago, moving the football mainly on the ground. Now, the wheels of Ashford help because he forces you to play it a little bit different. But a nice drive so far.
3rd and goal for the 5. Robbie Ashford trying to get this second offensive group into the end zone against the first-team defense. He'll scramble. This is what he does well, but it's blown dead. Touchdown by Cam Riley once again at about the 4-yard line. See, that's one of those where if you're the quarterback, Cole, you're like, come on, let's play it live because I can get away from these guys.
Probably could have found his way to the end zone there. Yeah. Robbie Ashford, the mobility obviously is valuable, but he gives you a bigger body also. He can run through tackles.
Marshall Myers.
Long snapper's got the right number.
Is going to kick. I hear you, man. Marshall Myers, the left-footed kicker. is wide to the right. And so pretty good drive for the offense. Ends in no points. 5:16 left, second quarter. A-Day at Jordan-Hare. .516 left in the second quarter, 2022 A-Day on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Auburn, Alabama, Jordan-Hare Stadium. Brian Harsin trying to sneak away from Cole Kublik. Cole's going to corral him.
So we went to commercial there, but you actually had your guys kick the field goal again. Why did you want to do that?
Yeah, we wanted to finish on a positive, and I think our specialists are doing a good job. But just to finish the drive, we missed it. We want to make sure we end on a positive, which we did. And I didn't give them the points, all right, but as far as just the execution of it, that's really what this whole thing is about, is just help these guys get better. And that was good to see him come back and make the kick.
Have to feel good about that offensive line. That was your first defensive front, and they're moving the ball on the ground.
They did a good job. Thought the backs hit it hard. O-line was moving their feet, and that's the key for us right now up front, is just keep running our feet on the O-line. I thought the D-line did some good things. It's hard when the quarterback's not live to give them the sacks, but the guys are playing hard.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
TJ Finley lets one fly, trying to hit Tank Bigsby, who was lined up wide on a go route. Powell Gordon in coverage that time.
Not necessarily your jump ball guy down the field there, but hey.
Not exactly. So that's the yin and yang, right, of being a head coach who's an offensive guy. You see your second team offense move the ball down the field, but your first team defensive line had the ball moved down the field on them.
I don't know if you're more elated that your second offense can do that, or if your first team defense giving that some up. Now, the defense not doing much today. They're going to stay stagnant. You're not going to get a lot of different looks, so that does help the offense.
Play action, quick throw, batted away. Nice job there in the defensive backfield. Hayden Bryce got a hand on it. Now the defense trying to get a 3 and out. Second offensive drive for TJ Finley. And the first team offense goes hard count, got some movement up front. Former offensive lineman Cole Kublik, no question they drew the defense offside. It's not what they're going to call.
You had him jump. If it's the freeze play there, then Jaleel Irvin just snaps the football and you throw it deep.
Ball start, offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
Obviously, Killian Zaire, not a fan of that call. A young man that they have high expectations for, too, this fall. Really think that 77 can give them some good reps at tackle. Trox will be back in the fall. He'll push for one of the spots. Brendan Coffey's over at right tackle on this drive. Probably needs to add a little bit of weight if he's going to be an every down tackle for this football team. But Zaire has the athleticism, has the length. I mean, look at the length. He looks like a power forward. Just needs to understand how to play the game a little bit heavier. Body control, something I talked to his position coach about before the game, that also needs to improve.
Zaire, senior from Munich, Germany.
Nice snag by Finley.
A little out to the right. How about that throw across the middle? Good throw, nice catch on the receiving end. Shedrick Jackson has really come on strong this spring. Eric Kiesel told us yesterday, maybe the most improvement from any wide receiver.
And they need that position to step up. And Shed Jackson, a guy that has every bit of ability, working the middle of the field there. Just a heck of a throw by TJ Finley. Anticipation, puts it out in front of his receiver, able to go attack it.
19 yards on the pitch and catch that time, Finley to Jackson. Jackson had 40 catches, 527 yards, and a touchdown last season.
Oh, boy.
Bigsby, little cut in the hole, bounces it to the outside.
All right, so one of the things that we talked to Coach Harsin about with TJ Finley was getting the ball back before he throws it. Said he tries to stay compact and just kind of barely comes back and pushes the football, doesn't rotate the ball back and then throw it. It's been a point of emphasis, and you saw him right there. It's a perfect example. Not going to come up with the catch. But he actually gets that ball back behind him and then delivers it. He had been a little bit too compact in his delivery. They've worked through it during the spring. And that's a nice touch on that ball down the field right there. You just got to come up with that one.
Good throw down the field from Finley. I'll never let it say that Cole Kublik's not versatile. Thought we were going to get him down in a three-point stance to do offensive line drills.
We'll do that in a minute.
Quarterback illustrations. I love it.
I'm trying to get Jordan Rodgers off my crew. I'm trying to steal his job. Hang out with McElroy every morning, and some of it just wears off on you.
3rd and 9. Finley through the hands of Bigsby, incomplete. Brings up a 4th down for the offense.
A little bit of pressure from the defense that time. Not able to get there. Nice job of the offensive line picking it up, but.
So Oscar Chapman will come onto the field to punt. Chapman, the junior from South Australia. Probably warmer there than it is here today. .410 left in the second quarter. Donovan Kaufman will receive. Auburn last year averaged right at 9 yards per punt return. It's not a category anymore where you see a lot of return yards on a regular basis. Chapman gets it away. Fair catch called for. And that will take us to a timeout. 4:10 left in the second quarter. It's the A-Day game on the Plains. Back with you in Auburn, Alabama. Of course, the great Bo Jackson, one of the greatest, not just here, but ever.
I was going to say, if you were saying one of the greatest here,
No.
no. You're not going to get away with that on this field. Coach Harsin, I saw you go directly to TJ Finley right after that last drive. What was the coaching point that you wanted to deliver there?
Well, there wasn't a lot of coaching points. One, I thought he threw the ball well in that drive. We had opportunities to make some of those catches. We will. But I thought his decision-making, where he took the ball, or where he threw the ball, was really good. So I just told him that, hey, look, you did a great job getting the ball to the right guys. We got to finish those plays. But as far as just his operation, like we talked about, he's making the right decision. So I wanted to let him know that, and then we'll get the ball back, and we hit those again. I mean, do the same thing.
Good stuff. Thanks, Coach.
Sean Jackson on the first carry. He runs into a wall, led by Wesley Steiner. Inside 4 minutes left in the second quarter.
If you were starting a team today, would you take Bo Jackson or Cam Newton? Since you went there, you're the one that went there. College football team today, which one are you taking?
I would take Cam Newton. And I feel like I have to say no disrespect, but the game is so quarterback driven, that's where I'd start.
I'd say Bo, because I think he might kick my ass if I don't say it. So
I'm going to hide behind you then. Play action, bootleg. Ashford trying to get away. They didn't blow it dead. Makes a nice throw to the sideline.
Really nice job there by Leota, 55, staying at home, understanding that bootleg, especially with the more mobile quarterback, has the opportunity to be there. Easy to get sucked down inside, a nice little spin move to redirect, and you see the speed to be able to get to the quarterback. Coach Harsin told us, Coach Smetting both told us 55 has had an excellent spring for this Auburn defense. They are so excited about the edge position with Derek Hall and Leota to be able to attack the quarterback, better job setting the edge in the run game. That position, at least the first two, no problem whatsoever for this Auburn defense.
And Cole, I think like every defensive coordinator in America, Jeff Schmetting would tell you, yeah, we're multiple up front. We've seen the 5-down look. We've seen a couple of 4 looks. See 3 as well. I think at its core, though, 3-4 is kind of the base for this defense as a flag comes in behind the play.
What are we doing?
You complaining about the officiating?
Absolutely. It's a spring game.
Holding. Offense, number 56. Penalty is declined.
It was interesting, Richard, because we asked him, what's going to be different? And then obviously just kind of what's the base? What's the base defense? He said, everybody's going to tell you multiple. And you have to, because you're going to see a triple option one week. You're going to see a pro style the next week. You'll see air raid the next week. Mike Leach, obviously, in your division. You're going to get a lot of different looks. So you have to be multiple these days. But he said, we recruit to and we meet as a 3-4 defense. So that kind of gives you an idea of where they want to live initially. But the one defense out there now, we're seeing an even front almost every time, 4 down. So You're going to get a lot of different looks, and position versatility has been key this spring. One, because you have bodies that are out. Two, they know they're going to have to play a lot of different looks, and guys are going to have to play different positions.
So the offense waved off the holding there, or maybe the defense did. Regardless, coaches have some autonomy in these spring games. They make it work how they want, and now you're going to get the first team offense with 3:12 left in the half.
That's kind of how it works a little bit. And Brian Harsin a little bit limited with what he's going to be able to do today just because the numbers aren't really there. He doesn't have the bodies to manage this spring game exactly the way that he wants to.
Come on, pick up your pace.
I'm trying. I'm old, man. Kirk Sanford had me out there playing pickleball yesterday. The knees hurt. The back hurts.
Well, if you don't hurry up, you're going to be in the defensive backfield instead of behind the offense. If we had a Peloton out here, you'd get down the field a little faster.
I crush everybody.
You said you were trying to get rid of Jordan Rodgers as an analyst. Do you think you can get it cleared where you're on the field, not outside the chalk, but inside to call games?
That'd be great.
Bigsby and Finley in the backfield. Looks into swing, takes a shot down the field, incomplete, and probably should have been a sack there. And they are now going to mark Finley down at the 34-yard line. That'll be a sack credited to the defense.
At least a hit. You knew he was at least going to take a shot and probably force an errant pass. Marquise Gilbert coming off the edge there. It's just some awareness up front on that offensive line. Protection not set to pick him up.
All right, so when we hear a defense is going to get vanilla, but then you know the offense is trying to accomplish something right before the half, is that a defensive coordinator freelancing a little bit?
Probably. We've seen a couple of pressures, though. It's not like they're just going to sit back in their base defense all day. We've seen a couple of inside linebacker blitzes. We've seen a lot of edge pressure. They're giving a couple of different things.
Johnson gets to the outside, spins his way forward. That's going to be close to a first down. Another flag comes in.
You can't tackle a guy by his jersey.
So you are okay with that flag?
That was fairly blatant.
During the run, holding offense number 10. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat second down.
So we'll do second down all over again with 2:43 to play until the break. Going to have running clock in the second half. 8-minute quarters today for the 2022 A-Day game. A little cool today. Not bad. You'd give anything for this in October. Maybe not what you expect in April, but better on the plains than it is today in Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, you don't really anticipate a snow game for your spring game. So Lawrence Sisler and those guys can have fun with that one.
Yeah. Second and 26. Finley going to take off, and he is touched down in the backfield. Pressure by Marquise Burks.
Boy, Marquise Burks, I've seen him make a couple of really nice plays today, either staying flat down the line of scrimmage, coming off blocks, that strike and shed, being able to throw a blocker off of you, playing against the run, or right there, just a pass rush situation. Now, he doesn't win the initial pass rush against Cedric Irvin, but obviously, or Jaleel Irvin, excuse me, but a guy that for 310, 320 pounds, got a little bit of wiggle. And TJ Finley, that's that pocket presence that Coach Harsin has talked about for a while. When to get out, when to stay, when to go, and when to throw it away.
Not a lot of calls for 3rd and 31. We'll see. Finley dumps it out to the side. Tank Bigsby trying to go make a play. On his feet to the 30. Spun down at the 33 by Powell Gordon.
Was that 6 or 7 targets out of the backfield for Tank Bigsby? It kind of shows you different ways that Brian Harsin wants this offense to revolve around number 4.
All right, so question for you. Some focus on, in terms of vision, trying to keep Tank Bigsby running the ball more in between the tackles as opposed to always getting it to the outside. Is this maybe the compromise? We get it to you more in the passing game outside?
A little bit. And I think vision is a word that has a misperception as it pertains to running backs sometimes. Some guys just like to bounce it out a little bit and do that too earlier when they don't need to. Tank has had a little bit of an issue with that the past 2 seasons. They're trying to shore that up. And with that outside zone play that's coming, that's something else that they're going to want him to not necessarily just go all the way outside initially, because it gives you multiple cutback lanes. It's the value of running it.
A knuckleball punt that time in the wind. Kaufman had trouble handling it, muffed it, but was able to recover it. So we are inside 2 minutes in this second quarter. So we've seen a lot of Tank Bigsby today. We've seen Sean Jackson in the backfield. Auburn maybe, or Cole, maybe some people a surprise last year. Jarquez Hunter kind of exploded onto the scene and provided valuable depth in the backfield for Auburn.
I don't think the expectation was for him to be as explosive as he was, and provided a really nice, not only second option, but he became the first option at different points in time last fall.
Minute 56, Robbie Ashford, Sean Jackson in the backfield. Second team offense. Drove down on its first drive, tried to kick a field goal, missed the field goal. Backward pass there. Tommy Neesmith on the reception. Yeah, we were told coming into this game that in terms of the starters, the first team guys, they were going to get them in and get them out. They've gone really almost the first half.
The drives, number one. We've only had a few drives, so you still want to get those guys reps.
Neesmith in motion. Ashford looks right, now dumps it left with a screen. Sean Jackson gets out across, or at least close to the 20-yard line. Zacavius Walker on the tackle.
Nice job by Garner Langlois, big 74, leading the way on the screen, able to pick up a big block. That's the patience that you want on the screen. Now, Ashford had the advantage that Finley didn't earlier of no free rusher just coming right through, but you delay, retreat, invite the rush, and then just push it right back behind them.
Might challenge that spot this fall. Third and less than a yard from the 19. Ashford under center. Gives it to Jackson. He's blown up in the backfield. Defensive line rising up and making a play. Marcus Harris blew that one up.
Really nice play by Harris. Center has to get your hat across. If you're going to get beat there, get beat back inside. You see Harris just beats him front side. Split zone where the tight end's coming back across away from the front side of the play, and you just at least have to body up that defensive tackle. If he pushes you back, that's okay. And even if he beats you across your face, but you still are connected, that's going to be fine. You cannot get beat clearly across your face that way.
Is that simply just winning a one-on-one, or is that something Robbie Ashford needs to recognize at the line and check out of?
It's losing a one-on-one. Again, because if you get a hat on a hat right there, Jackson's going to be able to make a play and pick up the first down.
Chapman on to punt again. Last one was a knuckleball. Kaufman on the opposite end of the field to receive it. Wind is howling. This time Kaufman will let it hit, kick out of bounds. And so a minute two and one more chance to look at a 2-minute offense, trying to get points on the board before the break.
Situational football, it's critical. It's one thing that Brian Harsin wants to see, is how different guys handle different situations. Like you said, you get a little 2-minute offense here. TJ Finley gets to lead his group down the field, try to put some points on the board.
Ball will be placed at the 45-yard line.
All right, Coach, so we've seen Tank be targeted out of the backfield 6-7 times today. Is that planned, and is that going to be a bigger part of the offense this fall?
Well, we've done that. I think we're actually getting it to them, so the quarterbacks are seeing it. It's kind of what the defense is playing, but the backs have always been options in our offense. So the ball's gone to them a few times. Had a couple screens in there just to try to help with the offensive line against the D-line. But I think the QBs are finding them. Big reason.
That one just sailed there on TJ a little bit.
It did. Yeah, it did. We should have picked it. Yeah, Marquise Gilbert had it right in the breadbasket there. Should have came down with it. We can't miss those opportunities on defense, right? Turnovers, takeaways right there. So we're going into a end of half, 2-minute here, trying to get points. That's the goal for our guys right now. I got to make great decisions.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Cole, that last throw by T.J. Finley, one of the things that Brian Harsin talked to us about mechanics, balance being better, footwork being better. You see him kind of fall to his back foot that time?
Well, and that's what Harsin said when we met with him yesterday, that when TJ does stay on that back foot and does not redistribute that weight forward into his throw, the balls have a tendency to sail. And when the ball was overthrown last year, that was usually the reason for it. Another good example there.
Tavares Dawson got the first down. Areas of improvement this spring for T.J. Finley, kind of mechanics overall. And one of the things that Brian Harsin said that I thought really stood out was he has led the quarterback room. He's held guys accountable. He's quizzing guys when he's on the sideline and has the most understanding of the offense, which you would expect. He's the veteran now as Finley runs it to the sideline and steps out of bounds to stop the clock.
That was a great decision with his timing. Understand pass rush coming around behind you, which is going to open up something right there in the B gap. You're able to escape, go ahead and pick up the yardage and get out. Didn't overthink it, didn't wait, just tuck it and go. I like the decisiveness there from T.J. Finley. But you're right. The leadership is something that he has been complimented on by multiple members of this staff, that he's holding the younger guys accountable. It's weird. He hasn't been here long, Richard, but he's the veteran of the quarterback room. And Brian Harsin told us he has a better command of this offense than anybody else in that room.
Early in the season, came off the bench, led Auburn to a come-from-behind win against Georgia State. Ended up starting the final 3 games of the regular season. Complete to Dawson on the slant to move the chains and keep the offense moving as they try to get points on the board before the half. Down to 34 seconds, clock running. Finley takes a shot down the field, and it's incomplete. Intended for Malcolm Johnson, overthrew it into double coverage.
Malcolm Johnson brought down that jump ball a little bit earlier in the game, and one of the bigger bodies that you'll see outside, and Auburn doesn't really have that. There are not a lot of big bodies at receiver for this Auburn offense this fall, and that's why maybe you'll see Landon King split out wide a little bit more and try to give him a look outside. You need some of those bigger, more physical receivers.
Good coverage that time by DJ James, who is the transfer from Oregon.
This defense hoping for big reps from 2 Oregon transfers that'll be on this roster this fall.
DJ James in the secondary, Jason Jones on the defensive line. 28 seconds left in the quarter. Finley to the right side, completes it to Schenker, trying to make it happen with his feet after the catch, run out of bounds at the 12.
I'll tell you what, Richard, this young man is so valuable to this football team. 6'4", 250, great hands, nice understanding of how to get out of bounds. He knows it's 2-minute drill. Has the single season record for tight ends in Auburn history, receptions and receiving yards in a season. 7th all-time in receptions by a tight end in school history, 5th all-time in receiving yards. I don't think a lot of people came away from last season thinking, wow, John Samuel Schenker just had statistically the best season ever by an Auburn tight end, but that's exactly what he did.
20 seconds left, ball at the 12. Finley dumps it underneath. Bigsby on the reception. He's dropped short of the 5-yard line by DJ James, calling his name again.
It's a nice route by Tank Bigsby. That's an easy route to get lazy on. You get a little peek of him, just climbs to the linebacker and then quickly gets lateral. Just an excellent job and a nice catch, too.
Timeout taken by Brian Harsin with 5 seconds left. It looks like we're going to see the field goal unit come out. I think the head coach set up the situation that he wanted in a game situation. Maybe you take that timeout 2 or 3 seconds sooner and get a chance to take one more shot at the end zone.
Absolutely.
So Ben Patton on to try the short field goal from just inside the right hash. A little odd seeing somebody kick for Auburn that doesn't have the last name Carlson, which I think you'll see in the fall.
Safe bet.
Anders Carlson, 14 of 21 on field goal kicks a year ago. Patton's field goal slips inside the left upright. And it's now 10-0 Tigers. All of our points have come in this end zone, and that will take us to a halftime break. Halftime at Jordan-Hare, the 2022 A-Day game. TJ Finley, the starting quarterback, engineering an early touchdown drive and a field goal drive on the final possession of the first half. With the break on the field, we'll take one as well. Tigers leading it over Auburn, 10-0 at the half. Some people say the 3 seasons in football are the fall where you got the season, the spring, and recruiting season. Well, recruiting season never really stops. This is some of the highlights out of the 2022 recruiting class for Auburn. 5 players out of high school that were part of the ESPN 300. And then you look at some pretty highly thought of guys making their way in from the JUCO ranks. Who stands out, Cole, for you on this list for Auburn?
Well, Jadarian Rim is here. He's an early enrollee, and I think he's going to help the secondary. Can play corner, can play nickel. The guy that this coaching staff already sees some things that they like. He'll add to the numbers on the back end. And then Jeffrey Imba, we won't see him today. He's been limited. Hasn't played a ton of football, really, in his life. A young man from France, then goes junior college, and then he gets a little bit nicked up as he arrives in Auburn. But he has the athleticism in the body to be able to help this football team this fall. Just fundamentally, he's going to have a long way to go.
And certainly we're going to see some from Holden Gurnier in the second half.
He's a quarterback that I think Coach Harsin really likes. His ability is there, but you come in and all of a sudden college football can just swallow you up. It can be too much. And he has been frustrated with that at times, but I'm interested to get a look at his skill set, see what he can do. I've seen him in practice a couple of times through the spring. There's a lot to like, but a young man that he's not going to be the starter this year. So just get as many quality reps as you can and build upon that moving forward.
Brian Harsin told us Holden Gurnier right now is swimming, but that's okay. At some point in the near future, it's going to click, and that's when you'll really see the strides moving forward. It's the 2022 A-Day game. We are at the half at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Let's check in with Tara Talmadge, who is standing by with Colby Wooden.
Well, Colby, I know you're excited to get back out here for A-Day. Just how's it been going for you so far?
It's been going great. Offense been moving the ball a little bit. Then defense, got settled and tightened up. But it's been great overall.
Well, I know you're excited also because you have your brother on the team as well now, Caleb. Just what's that been like, the dynamic with both of you as an Auburn Tiger?
It's been fantastic. Like I said, I used to watch him playing growing up. He used to make plays back then. Now he's out here making plays, intercepting all the quarterbacks, and I'm his biggest cheerleader out here jumping around. So it's just been fun to watch him, rooting him on and hoping the best for him.
You think it's dangerous having 2 Woodens on the field?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. You got one up front and one in the back end, so pick your poison.
Well, also, I got to ask you, that defensive line, you guys have a lot of talent up there. Just who's the most vocal for you?
Most vocal? I'd have to give it to me or Derek Hall. Me or Derek Hall. Because once Derek gets it going, hey, we all getting it going.
You get the juices going.
Yeah.
All right, Colby, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of A-Day.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tara, as well. Halftime on the Plains. We'll take a timeout. We'll be back to Jordan-Hare Stadium after this. It's the culmination of Auburn spring practice, the 2022 A-Day game. Second half action from Jordan-Hare Stadium right after this. Back at Jordan-Hare Stadium, a 10-0 lead for the Tigers over Auburn, which meant the first team offense scored twice in half number 1. Alongside Cole Kublik, I'm Richard Cross. Great to be with you at the end of spring practice for Auburn. What stood out for you in the first half?
That second offensive line, number 1, because they're going against the number 1 defensive line, and they found a way to move the football primarily on the ground. Robbie Ashford, the athleticism absolutely stood out. I don't know if he's ready to be the every down quarterback for Brian Harsin's football team just yet, but he's going to have a role. He's a young man that is going to find his way on the field somehow, some way. He can help this Auburn offense.
What do you think of TJ Finley? A little up and down?
A little bit, but the inconsistency is kind of what we're used to with TJ Finley. And if you talk to Brian Harsin about him or Eric Kiesau, they'll tell you he's still developing. He's still a little bit raw. And you think about the fact that he transfers out. The first year he started at LSU, he comes in, has a COVID fall camp, which you're not getting the kind of coaching that you're normally going to get. And then all of a sudden he's third-string quarterback, so he's not getting a lot of reps. And then he's starting once Miles Brennan goes out, and then Max Johnson. can't really be the guy. So he just hasn't had a real extended period of time where he's just been the guy. It's like we talked about at the beginning of this broadcast, Richard. It's why I think it's so critical and so important, maybe flying under the radar a little bit, that he is the guy at quarterback for this Auburn football team this spring. Doesn't mean there won't be a competition. Doesn't mean that he's just got the job. But these reps are invaluable for him. And we saw the talent. You see him push it down the field. You see some of the mobility. He just has a little more room to grow technically and fundamentally.
So Zach Calzada has been involved in the spring. He's throwing against air. He's doing a little bit of 7-on-7 stuff, pass skeleton stuff, but it's been completely no contact. We know that you got a lot of off-season workouts that happen between now and the start of fall camp. Tell me what this quarterback competition is going to look like. Not who wins it, but what's it going to look like as we go from the start of fall camp to that season opener against Mercer?
One of the things that helps is now these coaches can actually be around the players in the summer. And most college football teams now, they have their own practices in the summer anyway. So they're going to go out, find different ways to work together. The offensive line will be out there. They'll check plays. They'll throw passes. It's not just 7-on-7 with receivers, quarterbacks, and corners anymore. But Brian Harsin told us, I think the way it'll look is you'll get to fall. And then after the first spring, after the first scrimmage, you'll probably get some sort of a depth chart. Doesn't mean it has to be in concrete. And then after that, when you get about 10 days out, Brian Harsin wants to name a starter. Now, are they going to be ready for that? Is there going to be a starter that has taken it? I don't know. You have the luxury of those first two games where if you didn't want to name a starter and you wanted to play both through those two contests, you'd still be okay.
Evan McGuire kicks it off. Tank Bigsby takes it from inside the 5. Finds that hole. If he wanted to run the 100 yards, he could again. I think he'll maybe stop short. Oh, he's going to take it all the way down the field. Tank Bigsby in the return game. That's something we'll see in the fall. You think Tank Bigsby in the return game is something we see in real life in the fall? Maybe.
I think it's on the table. Sorry, I was talking to Derek Hall to see if he's done. He said he's not going to go anymore. I was hoping we get to see him a little bit more. But I do think that Tank Bigsby returning kicks is on the table. Brian Harsin wants his best playmaker to have the ball in his hands as much as possible.
Robbie Ashford will take the field first here in the second half. Jordan Ingram is the running back in the backfield. Did not see Ingram in the first half, but we do right here on first down. Breaks a tackle and bounces it to the outside. Wrapped up by Dylan Brooks.
So you saw 32 Wesley Steiner come flying into the backfield on that play. A young man that has had a really nice spring and somebody who they think can sort of be the brains of the operation. He's gotten the majority of the snaps this spring. He's been one of the vocal leaders of the defense, a very vocal guy, obviously high football IQ. Brian Harsin and Jeff Smitting both like what they're getting so far from Wesley Steiner at linebacker.
Playing with a running clock in this second half in both the third and fourth quarters, so this one may go quickly. Tyler Fromm on the reception. Cole, this gives us an opportunity to talk about depth. Tight end. You got 4 guys that they think they can run out and have play in a game situation.
I think tight end is one of the strengths of this football team. We talked about Shanker, how valuable he's been. Landon King won't be with that group full time anymore. He's going to split out wide as we see him out to the left side of the offense, split out by himself. He'll get reps at receiver, but Tyler Fromm can help you. Luke Deal can help you. It absolutely is a position of strength for this offense.
Donovan Kaufman on the tackle after a short gain by Ingram.
Such a good football player, number 1 for this defense. Saw him muff the punt earlier, but he's going to help you on special teams. And Brian Harsin kind of nitpicking his game just a little bit. He's a starter. He's going to be one of the better players on this team, but said sometimes he gets so locked in that he fails to communicate everything that needs to be communicated. So he has a little bit of room for growth in his game, but just a fantastic football player that does a lot of things well.
Jordan Ingram in the backfield, the sophomore from Mobile, carried it just twice last year. Do you see a larger role for Ingram this season?
I think it's possible. I think there are a lot of things because of that depth that you mentioned that are still on the table for Brian Harsin and this team. You want to see Robbie Ashford stay in the pocket a little bit longer right there. There wasn't an immediate rush. He didn't have to get out. And that's one thing that Coach Harsin told us, that Coach Harsin was telling me a story right before the game started today. He and I were chatting on the sideline, and he's telling me about Robbie Ashford, and he said there was a practice last week where He's stuck in the pocket, and just threw the ball away. And Harsin said, I made the biggest deal out of it. I showed the film in the team meeting the next day. I praised him. I said, hallelujah, did everybody see it? He threw the ball away. But he just wanted to emphasize that there are little things like that that are going to be very important in whether or not you can find success or be this team's quarterback.
They blow it dead, but you see right there the athleticism. Joko Willis was closing in and kind of shut the gap down. But that's a glimpse, though, into the athleticism.
No
Play
doubt.
action, settles in, not there, see a gap, and take off.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't know. They're not ready to rule out him being an every down quarterback, and they shouldn't. Look at the ability. And Robbie Ashford hasn't had a ton of reps at quarterback. He got hurt at Hoover High School a couple of times. He goes out to Oregon. He's not the guy. He's not getting first, second team reps. Transfers to Auburn. He hasn't just been in this spot a whole lot, so he still needs to develop. But I think about some guys in college football like a Trey Burton at Florida a while back. You look at Jaheim Bell at South Carolina, what he does. If he ever did want to make some sort of a move, I think he could be that kind of an athlete for this Auburn football team and still get some snaps at quarterback situationally.
Play clock winding down. This pass is complete. That's Landon King out to the far side. So remember also with Robbie Ashford, he was playing 2 sports in the time that he was Oregon. He had 20 starts in 2021, or appeared in 20 games for Oregon baseball.
Number 74, 10-yard penalty. Remains second down.
So Cole, this is kind of where you were going there with the end. Let's say that Robbie Ashford ultimately does not win the starting job, which I don't think you think he's going to. Is there a package for him at the quarterback position in 2022?
Yes. Plain and simple, yes. Robbie Ashford will help this football team this fall, one way or the other. Coach Harsin right there just frustrated. He wants get out of the huddle, get to the line of scrimmage, have time to be able to operate the offense before the ball is snapped.
Ashford stands in and delivers a strike over the middle. What a good throw. Zeke Capers on the reception out around midfield.
Very nice throw. You see how he didn't just rear back and put everything that he humanly possible had into that throw? He leaves a little touch on it because he knows it's over the middle of the field. Receiver's got to go get it. It's just right on the money. Excellent throw from Robbie Ashford.
27 yards on the reception for Capers. Inside 3 minutes, third quarter. Ashford looks left. Nice catch. Reach back, and Jay Fair hauls it in.
That's an early enrollee that obviously has not been around the program very long, but has already opened some eyes. These receiver spots, there are a lot of guys that can make a lot of headway before this football team kicks off in the fall. They need playmakers, and Jay Fair's a guy that's come in and shown that he has that ability.
Ashford dumps it out, tight end. Fromm on the reception. Fromm making plays with his feet down the field.
First off, it's a good get on a bad snap by Robbie Ashford. And then goes a little play action and knows got to get it out right away. Boom. Get it to your tight end who's coming flat across. And that's part of the split zone scheme that's married together with the outside zone play that this team wants to live on this fall.
And now a sack. A little pressure up front by the defense. Cam Riley right up the middle.
That's one thing that I know Brian Harsin and Eric Kiesau will go to the film on tomorrow and a few days later when they meet with this offense. The free runners that have been turned loose. That can't happen. That's where you get guys put out of the game. Just cannot have it.
So we've talked about depth at the tight end position. We talked early a little about wide receivers. Kobe Hudson out. He was the leading receiver a year ago, transfers to UCF. Who is it that becomes kind of the alpha in the wide receiver room?
I think it's got to be Shed Jackson. We're not going to see a lot of Javarius Johnson. I think once he gets healthy, he could be one of the playmakers. But if there's a guy, I think Shed Jackson's got to be that guy.
Malcolm Johnson has been involved today. Ashford outside the pocket. That one's way behind the intended receiver. Trying to get it to Trent Mason.
Well, there you see Ike Hilliard, the former Florida Gate. Everybody remembers him putting the brakes on that Florida State defense in the Sugar Bowl en route to winning a national championship. Longtime receivers coach for the Steelers. Coach Harsin had a couple of guys on staff that knew him. Carnell Williams said, you got to talk to Ike Hilliard. And Coach Harsin said, once I met him, once I talked to him, I knew I had to get him in. I want my guys to be like him. Said he brings a little bit of a different approach, different attitude, but the players have really latched on to his coaching style right away.
And after all of his time in the NFL, brings very much a pro mindset to the way that he talks to the players, the way that he teaches as well.
And I think that's good. You don't want all your coaches to operate the exact same way. Bring some different ideas, bring a little bit different mentality. You mentioned the NFL part of it. He's been a long-time pro, been around the pro game for a long time, and he was one of the best to do it in this league. Won a national championship, won SEC championships.
Patton on to try a 38-yard field goal. 30 seconds left in this third quarter. Play with a running clock. They have stopped it prior to the field goal try. Trying to put the first points on the board of the game for Auburn. Low liner right through the middle of the uprights, and it's now a 10-3 game. 30 seconds left in the third quarter. We'll be back to Auburn, Alabama right after this. 137 yards and a touchdown through the air for T.J. Finley. Robbie Ashford, how about that? 11 of 13 for a $127. 40 total yards for Tank Bigsby. We've seen him out of the backfield catching the ball as much as we've seen him running the ball. And on that defensive side, 4 different players credited with a sack so far in the 2022 A-Day game here at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. 30 seconds left in the third quarter. Robbie Ashford back out at quarterback. Anticipate that we'll see Holden Garner in the fourth quarter. A razzle-dazzle. Malcolm Johnson on the end around. Crossed down after a gain of about 10. And
that's going to be a big part of this offense this fall. Motion, movement, pre-snap and after the ball snap. That visual deception that you offer a defense, Eric Keesaw going to give you a lot of that inside the scheme.
Clock winding toward the end of the third quarter. That probably is going to be our last play. It is. And we will go to the final 8 minutes of the A-Day game. When we come back to Jordan-Hare Stadium on the Plains.
Welcome back in. A-Day on the Plains. And one thing, if you're going to hold a spring game around college football, we're going to have some fun events to go along with it. The Legends flag football game taking place before our spring game here today. Legends like Jim Bob Strickland, Sincade Pennington, and a few others right there. One man that was supposed to play in this Legends game today, and Dana Marquez, the equipment manager, did a nice job making these jerseys for that game, is a quarterback that played with me, a good friend of mine, Jeff Klein. And he wasn't able to be a part of the spring game today, but this is the shirt that Dana had made for him. He had planned on being a part of it, wanted to be a part of it, was excited to be a part of it. And a true Auburn man through and through. He's coaching here at Lochapoka High School locally, and Jeff is now in intensive care at a hospital in Columbus, Georgia, suffering from cancer, stage 4 cancer, and wanted to just take a moment to tell he and his family how much we're thinking about him, how much we love him, how much we care about him. The outpouring of support over the last 24 hours has been unbelievable for Jeff and his family. Adrian and those 3 young boys going through a lot right now, but the Auburn family never fails to step up, and they've done that for one of their own, and just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers out to one of my favorite teammates and one of my best friends, Jeff Klein. We miss you, buddy. We're thinking about you, and we love you.
Alongside Cole Kublik, Richard Cross, Tara Talmadge with us as well. 2022 A-Day game. And Cole, I know this one's hit you really closely over the last few days. Former teammate, good friend. I'll echo your sentiments. All our best to the entire Klein family. Sean Jackson and Robbie Ashford in the backfield right now. Ashford looking to his left, swings it out of the backfield to Sean Jackson. It's back to the original line of scrimmage, gain of 5 there.
Saw a little extra shove after the play from 62, Cameron Stutz. This is a young man that we've heard a lot about in the spring. Will Friend saying that he has looked the best that he's ever seen him look. Coach Harsin, very complimentary of him yesterday when we met. Cam Stutz, one of those guys that we talked about, Richard, taking advantage of reps that he may not normally get and now has a chance to potentially vie for some playing time.
Cole, I will say I was disappointed not to see you in the Legends game earlier today.
Well, I have offered up enough business for Andrew Sports Medicine over my 40-plus years on this earth, and they've seen enough of me there. So
Robbie Ashford lets it fly down the sideline. Had a man there, but overthrown. Tried to get it to Tavares Dawson.
I mean, those old-timer football games.
It wasn't a tackle.
Those are just torn ligaments waiting to happen. Achilles tendon, ACLs. I'm out.
I did look. I thought they were all just out having a good time, and then I realized about half the guys were wearing cleats. And I was like, oh, they're
Gloves.
a little more, cleats.
No, trust me, they're into it. That's
Gloves.
where you get in trouble is the next guy in front of you is going 110 miles an hour, and you feel like you got to keep up. Listen, I got a hard enough time keeping up with a 7'4" and 1-year-old.
Had the playbooks out. Ashford, nearly picked off. That ball batted down by Cameron Brown, the linebacker, dropping it back into coverage.
Nice job out in space by Cameron Brown. It's one that Robbie Ashford just needs to get a little bit further outside. Cameron Brown, good beat on that ball.
All right, Cole, coming into the game today, we talked about what Brian Harsin wanted to accomplish. He wanted to see the offense move the way it was supposed to, for guys to get lined up right, to not have a lot of pre-snap issues.
The operation, right.
And defensively, he just wanted it to be clean. Has Auburn accomplished that today?
For the most part, you've seen that. You've seen a couple of defensive linemen be disruptive. You've seen some linebackers be able to make plays. Now, there have been a few spots in space. We saw Donovan Kaufman come down, miss a tackle on a tight end a little bit earlier. Some of those sloppy moments you don't want to see. You want to take those away. But all in all, I think the defense has played fairly well, especially considering they're just out there running nothing. And they're basically running a base defense with maybe a pressure sprinkled in every now and then.
Tavares Dawson on the fair catch. We'll take a timeout with 6:13 to play in the fourth quarter. September 3rd, 2022. That's the day you circle on the calendar. Season opener against Mercer. Sneaky good San Jose State team. Good program coming to the Plains. And then, I don't know, maybe the one that everybody's got circled on their calendar. Week 3, Penn State coming here. Return trip after a close game in Happy Valley last year.
Manny Diaz will take over as that defensive coordinator. Keep in mind, Brian Harsin worked with Manny Diaz at Texas, and then in Missouri the next week with Blake Baker, now their defensive coordinator, who was also on staff at Texas when Harsin was there. So some familiarity, at least for the Auburn staff.
And it'll be the second month of the season before Auburn leaves Jordan-Hare Stadium.
I think that's a massive advantage. You have a chance, with the way the schedule rolls out, to pile up some wins, and the fact that you're going to do it at home for the first month of the season, that's just a huge, huge get that you don't have. That's a luxury you don't have very often as a college football team.
It's our first look at Holden Gerner, and he completes that pass to the sideline. Good enough for a first down to Brandon Frazier. A couple of catches in the game now for Brandon Frazier, who's another one of those nice-looking tight ends. Frazier, 6'7", 262, the junior out of McKinney, Texas.
He's got great length, good wheels. Obviously, the physicality at the point of attack, something that's probably going to need to improve just a little bit, but this group of tight ends is going to be very beneficial for Auburn. Eric Kiesau told us we're going to be in 12 and 13, 2 and 3 tight ends. It's a part of who we are.
And that's not just right now. Even as this roster continues to develop, as they reshape it through recruiting, he said 2 tight ends is going to be part of what they do here at Auburn.
It does so many different things for you. Allows you to go bunch formations. You can move those tight ends. And then you get guys that are sort of hybrid position players that can play the H, lined up as sort of a fullback. They can line up in line next to an offensive tackle. You can split them out wide. And they give you an advantage in the run game. They help widen the surface. They force you to defend the entire width of the field. It's a position that has sort of made its resurgence. It really at all levels of football.
It's the Gerner to Brandon Frazier show right now. Snap bobbled. Make it 4 in a row. And a pop on the sideline. Nate Carpenter.
What a grab, though. Up in traffic. Frazier goes up to get it. Defender hanging on him. The heck of a grab. Landon King likes it.
We're not going to see a completion to Frazier on this play. He goes to the sideline. Holden Geriner, 6'3", 212, freshman out of Savannah, Georgia. Early enrollee, so the first spring for him on campus at Auburn. Sets up the screen, dumps it off, and a good open field tackle there for Powell Gordon. He's had a nice A-Day game. Jordan Ingram brought down.
See the instincts there of Powell Gordon just tracking that ball down. Had a beat on the screen as soon as the ball was snapped. He's a young man that he was pretty much a primarily pass rusher in high school. And a lot of times your best defensive player, no matter where they are, you can't blame a high school coach for just saying, hey man, go get the quarterback. Go disrupt things in the backfield. So still learning to play off the ball just a little bit, but has a ton of ability.
Pressured coming, Geriner steps up, gets away, shows a little athleticism as he works his way down to the 40.
Nice little one-on-one win there from Cameron Brown.
For 7 yards.
4th and short, got to go for it, right?
Have to. Bring in an extra big body here. Bonus big, roll in.
Mr. Frazier back into the game. Richard Cross, Cole Kublik, Tara Talmadge with you. Final couple of minutes of the A-Day game. Culmination of Auburn spring practice. It's a handoff to Ingram. Cut back up the middle, and he'll get the first down.
Really nice job there from Avery Jernigan at center. Just takes that one flat step left and then gets that right shoulder pad, that right flipper sort of into the defensive tackle, allows his guard to come help on the combo. Don't even have to come off to the second level to be able to pick up the first yardage in short down situation.
Other handoff to Ingram, this time going right, and the flag comes in. Cole gets mad every time he sees a flag.
Oh, you missed the conversations I was having with him during the break.
So you can't debate with the officials
Illegal
during the regular
formation.
season.
Offense, more than 4 players in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's mainly holding that I'm going to get frustrated with. I thought the one, obviously out on the receiver, you kind of had to call that one. But the Garner Lane goal holding a little bit earlier, I didn't think it was. And I thought his hands were a little bit more inside. That's what the conversation was about. You strike the defender's hands down, he goes to the ground. An official tried to tell me he threw him to the ground. Like, that's a strong young man if he just took a defender and threw him down in front of him.
Yeah, you weren't just looking for an explanation. You were debating.
I was giving my explanation why it wasn't a hold.
Quick pass, far side, complete. Tommy Neesmith.
I'll tell you what I like from Holden Geriner so far, Richard, is the decision making. A lot of times you'll see a young quarterback, they'll get the wide eyes, they'll get back in the pocket, they'll start looking, don't really know what to do. He seems to just take the snap and then know where to get the ball out. There's a lot of value in that. A young man that just understands pre-snap, this is where I want to get it, get the ball out right away.
Yeah, one of the things that Brian Harsin has done a good job with through his career is developing quarterbacks. Holden Geriner in. And he talked to us about his time at Boise State with Brett Rippon, who, you know, comes in and is just completely lost in spring practice, like he's drinking out of a fire hydrant. And then 4 games into the following season, he's the starter, and never
and then Ryan
relented
Lindsay
that position.
He would move on to NC State, and then all of a sudden, the rest is history. Brett Rippon, one of the better quarterbacks in the history of that conference.
And that's not necessarily comparing Geriner to Brett Rippon in terms of ability, but he's in that same mindset right now. It's just coming at you 100 miles an hour. Just over a minute to play. Neesmith again on the reception.
Good
Actually,
accuracy.
Jackson Billings that time, beg your pardon.
Good accuracy. Gets the ball out on time. Has a good idea of exactly where he wants to deliver the football.
Moves the chains. And now all of a sudden, you get a touchdown on the board. Be looking at a tie again. Ready to test out those new overtime rules.
Go ask Coach Harsin how that's going to play out. Coin toss. Not for the ball, for the win.
Shot toward the end zone, and this one's incomplete. Sails on Garrett a little bit. Intended for Jake Cruz. So you don't foresee a 7 overtime situation today?
Not today, no. I will say we have yet to see Garner look left. Everything has been to the right side of scrimmage. And I don't know if that's just how Coach Keesaw wants to call it, keep him comfortable. Now you'll go trips to the left, so.
I was going to say 3 receivers to the left. We'll see if anything changes.
Yeah, tight end right, nub side over there to the right.
He looks left. He fires left toward the corner of the end zone, and he overshoots Neesmith.
Wynn carried it right out of bounds. Had the back out of the backfield wide open.
During breaks in the action, we've had the Masters on the video board. That was one of those, just get it up in the air and let it ride the wind.
Get a look at Landon King out at wide receiver now.
Garner flushed. Thought you were going to get to see another flag there. Luke Deal on the reception.
Nice job under pressure. He saw it quickly. Once again, free runner that this offense is going to have to eliminate. But knew he had to get the ball out, little half roll quickly, and then delivers an accurate pass. I think King's your jump ball guy. If he can get enough time to allow him to get back into the end zone. You got cover 2 now, so he'll have safety help over the top. You pull that middle safety to the middle of the field, you take your shot in the corner of the end zone of 40.
This ball underthrown. Is that a catch? Is that a catch? That's a catch and a touchdown. Down into the Auburn end zone, and we are an extra point away. There is a flag.
Come on.
Pass interference, defense. The penalty is declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
TJ Finley.
They're doing the gritty. Do the gritty.
Auburn's going to go for 2 for the win here.
All right, here we go. No overtime.
Not going to have overtime.
I thought we'd get Harsin to do the gritty out there. They had a whole practice dedicated to it. You think he would know how to do it.
Can we see you do the gritty?
Nope.
Okay. Been a few things during this spring camp designed to kind of build team unity and just have some fun.
Absolutely. They've had more sessions,
paintball,
more sessions in practice too, Richard, that have been sort of one-on-one competition, not necessarily based on fundamentals that are going to apply directly to the game. Just getting guys excited, amped up about different things.
All right, a 2-point conversion on what will be the final play of 2022 A-Day. Holton Garner at quarterback. Got Ingram in the game in the backfield. Assuming they don't get a delay game. Here we go.
Sprint out to the right.
Ingram up to the line of scrimmage. Not a sprint out ball, batted at the line, a defensive stop, and 10-9 is the final. Tigers over Auburn. That may be the least important thing you hear today, the final score. Get a defensive stop at the end.
Yeah, batted ball down. I was a little surprised by the play call there. Didn't give you many options on the play. I would have liked to sprint out to the wide side. Quarterback could tuck it and run it, or you set up some kind of a throwback.
How about that drive by Garner? Didn't
nice.
see him till about 6 minutes to go in the game and drives a team down, sticks him in the end zone.
I really like what we saw from him. Again, decisive, felt pretty comfortable, didn't seem to really rush things. Nice job.
Let's see what Brian Harsin has to say. Here's Tara Talmadge with the head coach of the Auburn Tigers.
Well, Coach, that was definitely a fun way to end this thing. You wanted to have some fun with these guys. Did you have a good time as well?
Yeah, that was great. Little 2-point conversion there at the end. Put some suspense into the spring game. But proud of our guys, like I said before. Just wanted to see them come out here, cut it loose, play the game, and just go through all the different situations, have officials out here be able to respond to some adversity, and those guys did that today. So really good work. Now we get to go back, evaluate it, and learn from it, and be ready to go when these guys come back, and we get back in August here playing football again. This preparation is going to help us in the season.
I know you're still going to go back and look at everything, but an early assessment of how you feel about this team now that spring is done.
Well, we have a long ways to go, and we still have a lot of work just in order to get better, but where the team's at as far as just the chemistry and the leadership on this team, I'm really proud of these guys. I know they're working hard at it. It's important to them. So to me, that's one of the key ingredients to our success, and we got to continue that moving forward.
All right, Coach, thank you.
All right, thank you, War Eagle.
Ryan Harsin with Tara Talmadge. So the A-Day game has come to an end. Richard Cross, Cole Kubelik, Tara Talmadge from Jordan-Hare. Final thought for you.
Saw some good things out of the quarterbacks. I think running back depth, tight end depth, you're in good shape. And the second offensive line looked pretty good. So you may have some depth at that position going into the fall.
Next time Auburn is on the field inside Jordan-Hare Stadium, it will be against Mercer to open the 2022 season. Thanks for being with us on this Saturday afternoon on the Plains. For our entire SEC Network crew, my partner Cole Kubelik and Tara Talmadge, I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.